Sit back, relax, and enjoy as Don Tony gives you news and reviews from AEW, NXT, and indie wrestling too.
Know what's happening in the world of wrestling without the hate and clickbait.
It's Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
All right, good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday night, August 31st, 2022. This is a very exhausted Don Tony giving you Wednesday night Dynamite. AEW Dynamite just went off the air. And I got to tell you, I enjoyed overall the episode. You could tell AEW does not have to fix much to really take their stuff to the next level. Suspension of disbelief, in my opinion. Suspension of disbelief is the most important aspect about wrestling. It's the most important aspect about movies. It's the most important aspect about TV shows. You know, when you're watching a movie, a TV show, a soap opera, a series, you know, any form of entertainment, you want that suspension of disbelief of what you're watching could be real. Feels like it's real, but it's not real. That's why people ranted and raved with Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle on Monday. You know, that's what has always made CM Punk epic with his promos. Eddie Kingston, why so many people love Eddie Kingston, authenticity. Those things are the most important aspect about wrestling. There is a small audience out there that just want work rate. There's no question about it. The problem is work rate what the majority of wrestling fans want today? And I say no. I'm not saying that it's this big. Maybe 15 years ago it was this big. Maybe 10 years ago it was this big. It's big. But I think as long as you make some of these unforced errors, that suspension of disbelief is going to be lacking. And I'm going to just tell you straight out. I watched the main event tonight. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks advanced to the tournament final, which we all knew, beating Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, and it was a tremendous match. I'm not going to disrespect those guys. They killed it. The problem is you have to cut the fucking audio around that ringside. You know, or in order for me to really enjoy those type of matches at a maximum, I got to turn my volume down. Because I got to be honest with you, when I'm watching the match and I hear the wrestlers telling their foes 3, 2, 1, and then hit their move, when they're pinning their opponent and I hear the person doing the pinning, kick out, kick out, kick out. I'm sorry. That ruins it a lot for me. And that happens over and over and over, especially with the Young Bucks, especially with the Japanese wrestling. You know, it's very talented. You know, you're very talented and it looks really smooth when you have to fucking yell it so loud that we hear it at home. That you have to get yourself in position and stand there and wait for 5 extra seconds just so the move looks like a video game. You know, this is what the beauty of wrestling is when you don't have to do all that stuff. And I'm a critic, but I'm a huge wrestling fan and I enjoy AEW. And I feel that as long as they do not tighten that shit up, and I think that's the reason why WWE doesn't have interest in some of the guys that you would think they should have interest in. And I think the reason is because of moments like this. You know, it's not acceptable. The match is fine and it's fabulous, but I got to start turning my volume down so I don't have to hear that shit because it's so fucking audible. How do you not avoid it? And look, social media is so disingenuous. You speak out and you criticize something, everybody ignores you. They turn your back. They don't want to fucking hear it. They just want you to say LFG, OMG, I'm shaking, unbelievable, holy fucking shit. This is their way of uplifting. And if that's what they need it for, that's cool. I have no issues with it. But anyway, tonight's show is going to be abbreviated, without a doubt. I think I have good reason. If you're a regular viewer, you know why. Some people are surprised I'm even doing a show tonight. I recorded the Q&A mailbag earlier today. That will be released tomorrow at 12 noon for everyone, so you could check out that episode. Really, really good topics. Excellent topics. You could check out the synopsis. It's already online. Also tonight, in addition to just running down Dynamite, and I do have a lot to say about the CM Punk stuff. I loved it. Something that happened after Moxley came out for the second time. I don't know if I should laugh or if I should honestly say I love it. I have a clip for you tonight. It involves a sound effect. If you watch Dynamite, you know what I'm talking about. How that makes TV blows me away, especially when it follows CM Punk's tremendous promo. Ace fucking Steel coming out of the woodwork and cutting an epic promo. Moxley coming back out there, cutting an epic promo. And then how do you follow that? How could it get better? Spoiler alert, it involves this. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. By the way, nothing against what I'm about to say, but Evil Uno looks like he is putting on the pounds once again. Maybe it was just bad camera angle, but it looks like he is putting on the weight again. So we're going to run down Dynamite quickly. We're going to run down NXT from last night quickly. Loved all the cameos. I know we had an extended conversation on last night's Patreon show. I will repeat a few things that I said from yesterday. And then we'll do predictions. We'll do predictions for All Out. And we'll do predictions for NXT Worlds Collide. Now, one final programming note. I will be here Friday night. Yes, Friday, September 2nd, 10:05 p.m., right after SmackDown. I will be up here giving you a quick preview of Clash at the Castle, my final predictions. I am still sticking with Drew McIntyre. I am surprised how many people disagree with me, but I will make the final case Friday night. And if you want to make a note of it, where is it? This is my schedule from now until September 19th. I will be on vacation the week of the 10th, but doesn't mean that I might just, if I have some time, whip out the laptop, turn on the live stream, and let you all know what's going on. And who knows, you might see me in NXT that Tuesday. All right. AEW tonight, the go-home show for All Out. Every televised show this week, with the exception of Impact, is a go-home show. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Rampage. Every show this week is a go-home show. I thought AEW did a tremendous job tonight, giving people additional reasons why they should tune in to All Out this Sunday. We had some matches added tonight. I think we all expected that. I think we're up to 14 matches. So be prepared to be up late Sunday night. At least Monday is Labor Day. So a lot of you will not be working the next day. So maybe I don't think you go back to school yet, but they did a great job leading up to it. Now, I'm a little bit confused why W. Morrissey, the former Big Cass, would get such a high profile position on tonight's show unless maybe he's the Joker. Maybe he is the Joker in the casino ladder match. For those that didn't see Dynamite tonight, the former Big Cass made the second appearance in AEW, this time interrupting the wingmen who are the latest, that are upset with Dynamite. Remember blurred lines, everyone. Remember, everything is supposed to feel like reality, and now they have done it with the wingmen. And here comes W. Morrissey, kind of like shades of what 911 used to be in ECW, just come out, chokeslam people, lay them out. Then Stokely Hathaway comes out, gives W. Morrissey the business card. And then I thought it was so goofy. We know why Stokely gives out the business cards. We've watched it for months now. And Tony Schiavone goes to interview Stokely. He's like, what's the deal with all the business cards? I'm like, it's storylines. Like, stupid? We all know why. Stokely's like, it's none of your business. So it looks like W. Morrissey is going to be in the camp for Stokely. I'm for it, man. I mean, he looks better than the last time we saw him on Dynamite. You could see it in his face that fire is there. And he's got quite a few chips on his shoulder after, what has happened over the last bunch of years. I think people are still waiting, anticipating Big Cass and Enzo to do something with Ring of Honor. Remember MSG? We remember it. But they gave him a high-profile segment today leading into All Out. So I wonder if he ends up becoming the Joker in that ladder match. So when we get to predictions, we'll go over that. Now, let's talk a few moments about CM Punk, Jon Moxley, Ace Steel tonight, which was tremendous. A little surprised they didn't name drop the Second City Saints. Saw a lot of people online, they didn't do their homework unless someone does the homework for them, and then they'll cut and paste and act like they know everything about CM Punk's history. But Moxley opens up the show. Mixed reaction. They're in Chicago. You expect that. And Moxley throwing a lot of jabs to CM Punk. I thought you were the 60-minute man. Last week I had 57 minutes left in me. What about you? He says, Chicago, I know you love your boy, but I think they're still mopping him off the mat in Cleveland. And he goes over the match. He said once Punk realized that he didn't have it, he's tried to find ways to get out of it, crawled up into a little ball to die, and then he folded. A lot of Moxley respect in Chicago, a lot of jeers as well, because Chicago beloved CM Punk. And Jon Moxley tells the fans that champions never fold. He's truly sorry that it did not work out for CM Punk, but he has no sympathy. He says CM Punk has a fragile ego, a fragile body, a weak mind, and weak spirit. So Moxley, he doesn't have a match Sunday at All Out. So he has an open contract, puts it on the mat, and he says, I dare someone to sign it. Fans are chanting for MJF a little bit. I guess they thought, there was no chance CM Punk was going to wrestle, even though a lot of reports the last week was that the match is still on. Moxley mentions, I don't know if you picked up on it, Moxley mentions New Japan and got a decent amount of boost to that. They don't want to be force-fed the New Japan stuff. Next week, we're getting the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. The fucking promotion is still dead. Having a title defense on TV, what the fuck does that mean? Impact. Go buy a promotion that's no longer in business. Just have their titles defended on TV and then try to sell everyone that the promotion is still alive. Come on. Seriously? So Moxley finishes up his promo saying, whoever steps up, I can out-wrestle you, I can out-fight you, I can outlast you. Wrestling Jon Moxley may be hazardous to your health, and whoever you are, you have been warned. Moxley walks off. Somebody shows up. Ace Steel, who works behind the scenes for AEW, friends of CM Punk, trained CM Punk. You know some of his history, some of the older folk out there like yours truly. He comes out, and people are like wondering, like, what is he going to do? So he enters the ring. He picks up the contract. He puts it in his pocket and he leaves. So now, I don't think he's signing the contract, obviously. Did anybody notice Ace Steel last week when CM Punk was out there? Yeah. So some of you picked up on it right away. It probably had to do with CM Punk. So, open contract. The 9 o'clock hour, CM Punk comes out. And CM Punk cuts a promo. And crowd is loving it. Now, look, let me make this clear. Do I think CM Punk got 3 plates and 16 screws in his foot? No. I'm not comparing my foot injury to CM Punk, but my foot got crushed in an automobile accident. I know a lot of you have seen the scars that I have, and I had plates and screws in my foot. And believe me, there is no way that you break a foot and you get 16 screws, maybe 3, maybe 4, but let's see the x-ray, Punk. It's impossible. You have 16 screws. Do you realize even if you had a screw to connect your toe back to your foot, that's only 5. And then what do you fuse your ankle? It's no. But he tells the fans he had 3 plates, 16 screws. There's a fan hazing him at ringside and, vintage CM Punk. He talks about 16 screws and he says, that fat guy sitting ringside, that's 16 times more than that fat guy's ever been screwed. Crowd loves it. When wrestlers go into their own element, they take some of the hazing personally, you see, what you get. And he even admitted Punk after, he's like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But he reminds everyone, maybe there's a lot of things in my career that I shouldn't have said, obviously. But he goes on to say that his foot is 100%. And then we're getting Steiner math. I don't know if anybody felt like it was Steiner math tonight. 3 plates, 16 screws. My foot's 100%, but it's a new 100%. And I don't know if this new 100% is 100% or good enough for me to be 100%. It felt like Steiner math. Bottom line is CM Punk feels like he let Chicago down. He feels like he let his family down, the fans down. He came back too soon. And because of his foot injury, and look, that's going to be the focus of the match on Sunday. Moxley is going to focus on the foot, without a doubt. In fact, in the future, anybody that feuds with Moxley, the foot will always come into play. And that's good. That is good because it gives a little more suspension of disbelief, with the injury. But he says he came back a year ago because he loves wrestling and wrestling does not love you back. But he also came back a year ago because he loves wrestling fans and the wrestling fans do love him back. He feels that he rushed. He let everyone down. And CM Punk is doubting himself if he could do this still. And here comes Ace Steel. Guy cuts phenomenal promo. Yes, you're in Chicago. There's enough people that know who Ace Steel is. He gets, a little bit of favoritism, but man, Ace Steel knocked the shit out of the park today. Smooth, believable, passionate, smacking Punk in the face. And if you do it in slow motion, Punk knew the slap was coming. But, pulling Punk by the jacket, pulling him around, tossing him. The fuck is wrong with you? How many times have I said on these shows, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. And that's what Ace Steel said to CM Punk today. That is one of CM Punk's monikers. And he psychs up CM Punk, didn't curse, but who the fuck are you? You're fucking CM Punk. He's getting psyched up and the fans are getting psyched up and everybody at home is getting pumped up and you're feeling it. And it felt authentic. And CM Punk grabs the mic and it's like, yeah, I am CM fucking Punk. And he goes on a tirade. He walks up the ramp where he goes into the crowd. He signs the contract for Sunday. Kind of ironic that he's standing next to someone with a Hangman Page shirt, but everything about this segment was perfect. And, I'll segue for a second into Tony Khan's appearance on Busted Open. And, I want to forgive everyone out there with my synopsis because there's something that's in there that actually did not happen. But there's a reason why I put it. Tony Khan made an appearance on Busted Open. And, you want to hear the hard-nosed questions. You want to hear the topics that everybody's talking about. And one of them, obviously, is the 3-minute match last week with CM Punk and John Moxley, and fans complaining big time about it. If you heard my show last week, I didn't complain about it. In fact, I actually defended Tony Khan in a lot of ways. So as far as the fan reaction, this was Tony Khan's response. And then I'll tell you what he didn't say. He says about the fans, he says, okay, as long as everybody can watch the show and have a good time. However, people want to react, it's fine. The fans are always right. If I left them with a lot of questions going into the pay-per-view, for some people, they're not used to that. It's a different way to do it. It was a big success. It brought a huge rating, and I still think we're going to have a big audience for the pay-per-view, and hopefully it will influence it in a positive way. It's okay for people to have questions and express their questions in frustration or anger. I think it's perfectly normal. It's obviously a different way to get from point A to point C. It's just not going directly to point B in a straight line. I think it's good. If you've heard me on these shows, we always talk about the scenic route. So everything that Tony Khan is saying here, I'm 100% in agreement with him. He said there will be a lot of exciting things, a lot of great action on Dynamite. We're gonna learn a lot about the pay-per-view. It's always the most important ones, and I hope at the end of the week the fans understand how much I care about them. And sounds like also little shot to Vince McMahon, showing love where Vince will be like, all right, the fans, I know what they want. They don't realize what they want. But he pretty much said everything that was supposed to say. Now, I will be honest with you, unless he did comment, but I asked a few people that tuned in, and no one said to me that he did. When Tony Khan, the topic of Thunder Rosa only getting 47 seconds, where CM Punk got 10.5 minutes when he had to surrender his championship, there was no answer because Busted Open didn't ask the question. This is an example of what we always talk about. And the interesting thing about Tony Khan, and I'm not criticizing him there, but I point this out because I want you to realize it. Whenever Dynamite pops a decent rating or has a nice little increase, there is always an interview somewhere with Tony Khan 2 days later. Always. Maybe 4 or 5 days. Always. There's always, because when he is non-existent in a lot of ways when the ratings are shit or it's disappointing. But when you pop a nice number, there's always the rah-rah. And he's smart. But, one of the first things I wanted to hear his reaction to is, what do you have to say about the fans being pissed off that Thunder Rosa only gets 47 seconds, CM Punk gets 10.5 minutes? Wasn't asked. And it wasn't offered either. Awful. So with that said, we go back to Dynamite, and Ace Steel pumps up the crowd, pumps up Punk, pumps up everyone else. Shout out to KD. Wow. Thank you very much, my brother. I will make what you posted official in a few moments. Thank you very much for that. Very, very generous of you. Holy shit. I guarantee you there's a text message, probably, because my fiance sometimes tunes in live, just wants to see, what it's all about, what we do. She doesn't understand why we love wrestling. She's a wrestling fan, but she doesn't understand why we love it to the levels that we do. But that is very kind of you, KD. Thank you. Not done thanking you, but let me just finish this little part. So CM Punk signs the contract. The match is on. CM Punk versus Jon Moxley 2 at All Out on Sunday. When we get to predictions, I'll give you a quick thought of what I think is going to happen. So now we expect the four-way match tonight of Wheeler, Yuta, Michinoku, Ray Phoenix, Dante Martin, and Roosh. But before we get that match, Jon Moxley comes out a second time. And Moxley, he's reacting to what CM Punk said. And I thought it was great because the champion should have the last word. And Moxley, warned whoever steps up. And Moxley, his reaction to Punk is, I'm not going to show any sympathy on Sunday. And Punk is the threat. He's going to eliminate the threat. So, everything that went down tonight was perfect with that. I loved it. So how do you top two segments back to back? Unbelievable for All Out. Sold everybody about the match. Convinced everyone that it's not going to be 3 minutes. You could kind of even make this feel like a Rocky movie. Hey, Rocky, did you forget who you are? You're fucking Rocky Balboa. Snap out of it. The fuck is wrong with you? Go beat Apollo Creed. What are you, stupid? What do you think, you don't have any more? Or it's Rocky like Rocky 7. It felt like a Rocky movie, right? With Punk. So they're not going 3 minutes. But I will say this. Does it feel like CM Punk is turning heel? I don't think so. Because we thought, hey, he might turn heel. Now, we know he's not turning heel in Chicago. We already talked about that last week. We talked about it over the weekend, that CM Punk was going to be a major factor at All Out. The whole week is taking place in Chicago. You're not going to keep him off. You realize now how stupid, yes, we could use stupid. You realize now how stupid and reckless those journalists and podcasters were 2 weeks ago. Punk almost quit. Punk did this. Punk almost, the locker room. And, you realize now none of that was the case. They just followed the MJF template. MJF threatened not to show up at the pay-per-view. Punk threatened not to show up at Dynamite. They just all for the hits. Now, does it feel like there was? No, not even close. But we have to talk about this. We get Punk coming out, cutting a tremendous promo, setting it up. Maybe I don't have it anymore. Maybe the foot did me in. You have Ace Steel come out. Snap out of it, motherfucker. You're CM Punk. CM Punk gets all pumped up. The fans all psyched up. He signs the contract. Everybody's going nuts. And then we got Moxley comes out there. Great reaction. Everything about it felt authentic. So we have about 20 minutes of phenomenal content. And how do you ride that wave? We get this. Now, if you've paid attention to my shows the last week, we know that 10 was going to be taken out and Hangman Page was going to be inserted in the tournament. And we all said all along that the tournament final was going to be the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page and the Dark Order. Now, Hangman Page and the Dark Order have not done their part of the deal yet, but it looks like that will be happening. So we get a backstage segment. And if you didn't see this, this will stay in Wrestlecrap lore forever. This, if AEW, and I'm not, look, I want to make this clear. I'm a huge AEW fan. They ain't going nowhere. They're not going out of business. There's no jeopardy or anything like that. I'm a huge AEW fan, but I call things out when it's wacky, ridiculous, goofy, terrible. This, if AEW ever sinks, and there is a documentary, The Rise and Fall of AEW, whatever you want to call it, this segment tonight will be featured. This will never go away. I think this is worse. Remember the Dark Order with Dustin punching air in the early days of AEW? Remember that episode of Dynamite? The Dark Order returned once again for one of the most ridiculous Wrestlecrap moments in its history. This time around, I don't know if I could blame Preston Vance. I don't know if I could blame the guy. I don't know if this was pre-taped or not, but this was ridiculous. I literally watched it back 5 times, and I reloaded my page at least 100 times, hoping to God somebody would repost the clip so I could share it with you tonight. A screenshot doesn't do its justice. Leave it to fucking AEW themselves to repost this. This is Wrestlecrap of the year, and they reposted it thinking that it's advancing a storyline. All right, let's get to it because I got the video. So Evil Uno is in the back, and 10, Preston Vance is in the back. And Evil Uno announces he's taking Preston Vance's place in the tournament because of injury. So here comes Andrade and the assistant, Jose, and they give Evil Uno a bunch of money. Go ahead, go out. Go buy some pizza. Go buy some pizza Uno. You know, increase that waistline a little bit more. We want to buy Preston Vance. 10, I want to buy you. It would have been great if he offered Evil Uno $10. So I give you 10 for 10. 10 for 10. No, he gives him a stack of money. You got great body. You got great this. You take the mask off and all this other stuff. And Evil Uno's like, no, 10. He's Dark Order for life. You can keep your money. So we get this. Oh my God. Seriously, I don't do drugs, but if I ever get high, I got to watch this over and over and over again. If you didn't see it, or if you just want to see it again, you see Preston Vance, right? You see Jose, the assistant, is right near him. All right. Jose, the assistant, you know, you talk about the garbage moments of WCW and when they tased Bill Goldberg. A taser never works out in wrestling. Every fucking taser spot is stupid. WWE did taser spots in the last 12 months with the sound effects, and it was goddamn awful. Who in their right fucking mind in AEW said, dude, let's do a taser? Jose, the assistant, tases Preston Vance in the nuts. You care to see how Preston Vance sold this? Now, I can only show you about 5 seconds because we don't want any copyright issues here. Watch this closely. I did not enhance the audio. Look. He's just sitting there. He just sat there. He just looked at him and was like, what are you doing? You tased my nuts? He tased him in the balls, and Preston Vance is just like, let's look at this one more time. I wish I had special effects with slow-mo. Look at this. Look. Tase, look. He's like, huh? No, we got to watch that one more time. We got to pause it. Look, watch. Look. He's like, what are you doing? The fuck you doing? It's my balls. Oh, my God. Who in the fuck? How the fuck do you decided, dude, we're going to follow Punk and Ace Steel, and this is going to be epic, and we're going to tase President Vance in the balls, and he's just going to stand there and take it, and we're going to have a big sound effect too. Oh, whoever in AEW did that, really, seriously. Everybody used to say that Vince Russo went to WCW as a plant for WWF to put them out of bed. Who the fuck approved that shit tonight? That's not Botchamania So Fly because that went off the way it was supposed to. Did anybody tell Preston Vance in this segment, look, Jose the Assist is going to pretend like he's going to tase you? You know, I'm sorry. If I get tased in the neck, in the arm, my neck, my back, my pussy, and my crack, if I get tased anywhere, you could tase me in my bad ankle that's half numb because of nerve damage. You best damn believe then I'm going to act like I'm stepping in coal. I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs. I'm going to sound like a girl. I'm going to sound like somebody put a fork through a pig. This motherfucker just looks at him. He's like, yo, bro, what the fuck you doing? Look. And the sound effect. And here's why this segment is awful. Preston Vance jumped. So he knew what that was. He jumped, but he did this. I know why he did that. Because Preston Vance, maybe he has too much time in the gym, didn't think common sense. He probably thought to himself, oh, I cannot react with the taser because then it looks like that I'm healed. If I start running around acting like I'm in pain, then it maybe that is the worst. That is worse than the Dark Order punching air. Tased in the balls. He just stands there. He's like, oh God. That's just, it's so bad that I have to watch it another 10, 20 times tonight. Don't get me wrong. The overall episode of Dynamite I enjoyed still. Who the fuck proved that? Who came up with the idea? Yeah, we'll do a taser. We'll play sound effects too. You imagine if WWE would have done that tonight? You imagine if that was WWE, even under the Triple H regime. You imagine? Oh my God. One segment that I did like tonight, Jungle Boy, Christian, and Jim Ross. Jim Ross agreed to MC this as long as the two guys didn't get physical. And they talked about Jungle Boy's appreciation for Christian, almost like a father figure, role model. And this feels very personal. It was a great segment to lead into All Out. And I'll be honest with you, that's one of the matches I'm looking forward to more than anything. I don't want to see many wrestling moves. I'm still a little surprised that it's not a street fight. I'm a little surprised. It's not a street fight. So we'll see where that goes. So anyway, match results from tonight. Bryan Danielson beats Jake Hager. Jericho cutting a great promo. Now, obviously, the continuation of Daniel Garcia ultimately leaving the Jericho Appreciation Society. Some people think he may join the Blackpool Combat Club. I think that's necessary. Because right now, and I know this sounds terrible to say, a lot of people would not dare say it publicly. Wheeler Yuta, surrounded by Claudio, Bryan Danielson, William Regal, John Moxley. He looks like when Maven was hanging out with Evolution. So if you put Daniel Garcia in there as well, have two young guys in that group, I think that is more acceptable. And listen, next week, those two guys are facing off for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. I don't give a fuck about the belt, but I think this is more about the storyline. We got to see where this goes. But tonight, Jericho cutting a promo on Danielson, talking about at the pay-per-view, the Lionheart versus the American Dragon. And Daniel Garcia shows up. And I know at the pay-per-view, you're not going to need a chair. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. And Jericho says tonight for Bryan Danielson, all is fair in romance and wrestling. Watch your back. So Danielson beats Jake Hager with the running knee. After the match, Jericho Appreciation Society start beating down, minus Daniel Garcia and Jericho. Jericho was on commentary with Regal. After the match, you have Danielson being beat down a little bit, and Jericho runs down with a chair. Jericho about to chair bash Bryan Danielson, and Daniel Garcia pulls the chair off of Jericho. Jericho is pissed off. What the fuck you doing? He gets distracted. Bryan Danielson knocks out Jericho with the running knee. So, even though Daniel Garcia said he's rooting for Jericho on Sunday, you could see that Daniel Garcia's exit from the Jericho Appreciation Society is almost complete. We had Hikaru Shida and Tony Storm beating Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. Shida getting the victory. I think that's a telltale sign that Hikaru Shida is not going to become AEW interim women's champion on Sunday, just as Wheeler Yuta winning the four-way tonight, beating Roosh, Ray Phoenix, and Dante Martin. And I don't think Wheeler Yuta is winning on Sunday either. FTR and Wardlow won a squash match against Ren Jones, Silas Young, and I don't know the name of the third person. You know, as we've joked with Justin Roberts in the past, when your value is nothing in AEW, his tone is monotone. It's very matter of fact, and it's very soft, and he says it so fucking fast. You're like, who? Huh? What? Because he's very passionate. Wardlow, FTR. And it is like Silas Young, Ren Jones, squash match, warm-up match. Kind of felt like Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka from Raw, you know, facing the three girls from OVW and the other place. But fun match nonetheless. And then the main event tonight, as we already said, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks beating Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. Earlier, you know, you had Don Callis interrupting Will Ospreay promo in the back. You know, a lot of people think that Will Ospreay is the next Kenny Omega, and Don Callis thinks, no, he's going to be the first Will by God Ospreay. I like Will Ospreay. We had, actually, believe it or not, we had a conversation about Will Ospreay today with the Q&A, the mailbag. I had quite a few things to say about Will Ospreay, most of it positive, too. But, you know, overall, a decent Dynamite tonight. A lot of fun. Now, Rampage for this Friday. Now, I will not be in the watch party Friday, but the watch party will still be going. Instead, I will be live doing predictions for Clash at the Castle at 10:05. But Friday for Rampage, we got Best Friends versus the Dark Order and Hangman Page for the final, you know, to get to the final at All Out for the Trios Championships. The Acclaimed Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland are going to be talking, as well as Jade Cargill and Athena. They will be with Mark Henry. He'll be moderating a little discussion. QT Marshall versus Ricky Starks. And we're getting in the rematch, second week in a row. Ruby Soho and Ortiz versus Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello. Excuse me. You surprised Ruby Soho is not in this interim championship? I am. I feel like the Rampage match was given, the rematch was given simply because she's not in this interim championship. And then next Wednesday, Yuta versus, I almost said Yuta versus Wheeler. That's how my mind is tonight. It's Yuta versus Garcia for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. Okay. We'll get into predictions for AEW All Out in 2 minutes. Before I do that, though, I want to give a very special thank you to Brian Becerra, sending a 20 spot for me to enjoy at not the wedding, you know, but you know, maybe the next day we'll have some breakfast. So I thank you very much for that, my friend. You know, I can't believe it's less than 3 days away. 2.5 days from now, I will be officially a married man. That's crazy, man. Never thought it would ever happen. I mean, once the shit went down in 99 and never expected it. So I promise you, I will give you footage on a separate video. I know not everybody here cares about that. And I don't blame you. But I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Mohammed Soria. Holy shit, man. I did not see what you wrote. I love when like minds think alike. I love that. He wanted my opinion on CM Punk's promo. He thought it was cringy like fake Rocky. That's awesome, man. You know, I didn't think it was cringe. Look, the over-exaggeration about what's in his foot was a little bit comical. But no, I thought everything about the segment was believable. You know, some people get pumped up, adrenaline. That adrenaline goes, you forget about your injuries. Look at, you know, I don't want to compare it to me, but look at when I did the indie wrestling managing. You know, I had no business doing any of that stuff. I was half crippled with the injuries that I had. But the adrenaline and pain medication, that helps. that kind of numbed a lot of the pain. But, this is more storyline than anything else. You got to remember that. And this was believable. This was very believable. And I'm telling you, man, Ace Steel, believe it or not, I don't want to put Adam Pearce in the same category as Ace Steel. They're two totally different guys. But let me tell you something. Adam Pearce, back in the day, was pretty freaking good on the mic. And I'm a little surprised that, look, he's not a wrestler anymore. I'm a little surprised that WWE does not capitalize on that once in a while. Maybe he just loses it and gets into his wrestler mode. But Ace Steel, I'm not going to lie, I was never this gigantic fan of Ace Steel. No reason to. In my neck of the woods, Ace Steel was not a major player, more in Philly area and, the Ring of Honor crowd and everything. But and the Midwest, let's not forget the Midwest. But that motherfucker, and, I thought it was awesome tonight seeing him do that, because 95% of the people there, well, maybe not in Chicago, but I'd say 90% of the people watching didn't know who the fuck he was, And when he came out and picked up the contract, everybody online will act like, yeah, I know it was Ace Steel. But they would probably Google it and say, like, who was that? Who was that? And he killed it. He fucking killed it. I liked everything about it. Rojo Bad 24 said the main event was a blast. Hope we get Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay at Arthur Ashe. You know what? I wish that they would be able to keep Will Ospreay. I think if he was able to stay here for a good 3 months, almost like Takeshita. That guy, when we first saw him, I used to joke and I said, take a shita. But he won me over. I'm a fan of Takeshita. And when he returns, I could see him, maybe not in AEW, because how's he going to break through like that? But he was well received from the United States fans especially. And I think Will Ospreay, if he gets a little more, and the funny thing is, you look at Impact, and that's why I say there's so many wrestlers that have showed up in Impact and nobody cares, So, hey, if he could stay in AEW for a couple of months, yeah, I think people will stop buying his merch. I think Kevin Nash may have to eat his words a little bit. Not yet, but may have to eat his words. So thank you, Rojo Bear. And once again, KD, thank you very much, my friend. He is a big supporter of what I do. He is in the watch parties every week, mingles, socialize. Everybody likes him, has great conversations, very, very smart. And I am kissing his ass because he sent the 100 spot. But you know what? I show the love to KD even when he doesn't do anything like this. So I thank you very much for that. And yeah, I will definitely take a picture in Florida and I will definitely show you, yes, we ordered this thanks to you tonight. So, and props to everybody in the chat showing some love for KD as well. He's good people, man. Really bothered me when some people were trying to portray that this YouTube community is like awful and dark and terrible and disgusting. Yeah, there's a few people that were ruffling things up. If you notice, they're blocked. If you notice the last couple of weeks, some people have been blocked because, I don't see some of it as it's going down in real time, but I get complaints and then I watch it back and I was like, oh, fuck, I didn't even realize that this person was acting like they were. Some people, they take it a little too far, but I thank you very much for that, KD. That was very, very kind of you. I appreciate that. By the way, there's a poll right now on the thread. You're more than welcome to participate in it. Which event this weekend are you looking forward to the most? Clash at the Castle, All Out, or NXT, Worlds Collide? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not seeing any of the three live, but out of the three, I'm looking forward to Worlds Collide more than, Worlds Collide. Sorry. Go back. Clash at the Castle. Because I'm just more invested with Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. I think Drew's going to take it. and Riddle and Seth Rollins, I've been into it since day one. And, after Monday, I want these guys to kill each other. So I'm not saying that All Out is not going to be a good event. All Out has got everything you want. It's like walking into a buffet and everything looks amazing, but sometimes, in my opinion, if you have a little bit of everything, you end up with a stomach ache. If everything is good, then, everything is not good, but let's get into predictions. Let's talk about AEW. Now, I got to show you something, and I owe you all a serious apology. Everybody, it's on video. I want you to see something. See that graphic? Actually, you know what? Let me refresh it. Okay, because we got to do the buy-in first. See this graphic on the screen? Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii. That is one of the pre-show matches, right? Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston is off. I don't know who came up with that font for the wrestlers' names. That is one of the worst fonts I have ever seen with promotions thumbnails. And if you think that I'm nuts for saying that, all right, let me show you this. Okay? Just showing you NXT Worlds Collide. I'm just showing you a banner. All right? See a banner. Everything looks crisp, clear. This is the same size photo. That's the same size photo. Tell me if you could read those names clearly. That is an awful, awful font. I don't know who came up with that font, let alone red lettering. That is awful. That is awful. So I apologize, but we have to show a small graphic. So if you can't read the names, you could look at the faces and you can figure out who it is. But let's get into it. Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii. I think Eddie Kingston will take this one. Eddie Kingston loses way too many matches in AEW, in my opinion. And I know, the recent suspension, what kind of like bothers me about this match is they're advertising it as two. Not on the banner, but that's how they were advertising online. And you almost feel like, oh, maybe Ishii wins this one. I'm going to go with Eddie Kingston to take this one. Another match we're getting on the pre-show is Hook defending the FTW championship against Angelo Parker. Hook is obviously taking that. Angelo Parker has no chance. This is just a Acme Insta-feud thing, and Hook will win probably in about a minute's time. All right. Some of these matches, the outcomes I think are very predictable. We have Pac defending the AEW All Atlantic Championship against Kipp Sabian. As much as I don't give a shit about Kipp Sabian returning, with all due respect, AEW thinks it's a tremendous thing, and I don't doubt this match is going to be incredible. These two guys have wrestled each other in the past. These two guys have teamed up with each other in the past. They do go back. So they are going to kill it. But, too many titles, too many matches. This is going to be a good match, but I'm going with Pac to retain the All Atlantic Championship. We don't feel that Pac is utilized anywhere near as good as he should in AEW. So you keep this title on him, little, representation with gold, and AEW feels that's enough. Next, we got Swerve in Our Glory defending the AEW tag titles against the Acclaimed. I would love to see the Acclaimed get this. Problem is, I get the same feeling I like when Private Party went to number one contenders way back when. The Acclaimed were number one contenders before. Especially these young teams. I mean, I'm very surprised that by the way, what the fuck happened to Luchasaurus? Just saying. But, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus kind of surprised me that they broke through. But a lot of these younger teams, they get a championship match and it goes nowhere. The Acclaimed are so over right now that I think a substantial championship win would really establish themselves in AEW. I just feel that AEW the ceiling with the Acclaim might be what we've been given. And I know that's horrible to say. I'm trying to think of it in the eyes of AEW. Do you think AEW values them like they value some of the other teams that are showcased? I don't. So even though I'm a huge fan of Keith Lee, you know that, and I like Swerve Strickland, I'm rooting for the Acclaimed, but I don't think they're going to win. I will be shocked more than anything on this pay-per-view if the Acclaim win those tag titles. The Acclaimed are who I'm rooting for, but I think Swerve and Keith Lee are going to retain. Next, here's another match with a champion retaining. I don't think Athena, I think the person who dethrones Jade Cargill is either going to be someone that's not on the roster right now or someone who is going to turn on Jade Cargill down the line. And I don't even think that person is aligned with Jade Cargill right now. They're not taking the title off of her. Athena, I don't know what she thought coming into AEW, but I feel that the way they've used her has been lackluster, to say it nicely. I don't know where Athena goes from here. I'm going with Jade to retain. Next, Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. Man, I would love to see Jungle Boy get this substantial win over Christian, but you could tell that AEW has a lot of value in Christian still. Just as Jericho. If you notice, it seems like Jericho wins, and I'm a big Jericho fan, but I think Jericho wins more matches than maybe a lot of us expect him to win. A lot of people have said that over the last 2 years. Now, Jericho's had some incredible matches, but as far as veterans go, I think Christian Cage, he should be getting his ass kicked on Sunday. I know they don't do disqualifications, but since they're not doing a street fight here, if there was ever a time to do a disqualification, this would be it. I could see Jungle Boy just snapping and just trying to kill Christian Cage and getting disqualified, but that's not going to happen. I would be shocked if that were to happen. But in the end, I think Christian Cage is going to beat Jungle Boy. Even Jungle Boy should get, unless Luchasaurus shows up. Luchasaurus shows up, then I could see him getting involved in some capacity, and then Jungle Boy will get the win. But if Luchasaurus does not show up, I'm going with Christian. If he does, I'm going with Jungle Boy. But there was ever a time to do a street fight, this is probably the match to do it with. But they're not. A little surprised. The House of Black, yeah, there's another match that you would think would be a street fight. Darby Allin, Miro, and Sting. Now, I don't know if you saw that kind of little teaser or subplot that was today. They're trying to plant the seed, especially Darby Allin, that Brody King does not need Malachi Black. And I don't think there's going to be an alliance down the line, but something is going to be going down with the House of Black. And they're trying to paint this picture that Malachi Black needs the other two guys and the other two guys don't need him, even though they didn't focus on Buddy Matthews at all. But we have the House of Black taking on Miro, Sting, and Darby Allin on Sunday. I'm going with Miro, Sting, and Darby Allin to win. Would not be surprised if Malachi Black ends up being the one pinned in this match. So, yeah, we'll see what's going on in this match. But I think there's a little subplot. Maybe it's nothing. Sometimes you got to pay real close attention to what some things are said in AEW. But, this is going to be a good match. It's going to be a fun match. Sting's rules. Don't expect him to do too much. But I'm going with Sting, Miro, and Darby Allin to take this one. All right, moving right along. The women's interim AEW championship. AEW interim women's championship. Say it the right way. Toni Storm versus Britt Baker versus Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida. Even though Hikaru Shida is now getting featured again on AEW TV, I don't feel that there's any momentum behind it. The fans absolutely love Shida. I don't know if Shida will be around in AEW 6 months from now. Who knows? I'll tell you the truth. I get this weird feeling that Jamie Hayter is going to get this one. I know everybody wants Toni Storm to get it. So when Thunder Rosa returns from injury, we have Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa. You know what? Actually, no. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm going with Thunder Storm to take it because we're not going to have two heels representing women's championships. I could see Toni Storm taking this championship. Yeah, I'm going with Toni Storm. Even though I would love to see Jamie Hayter get the championship. I don't know. There's something about AEW's treatment of Jamie Hayter that nobody seems to talk about, but I kind of feel that they don't give her as much of a due that she deserves. So I'm going with Toni Storm to take it. All right, next. This is a hard one to call. Ricky Starks, they have him feuding with the Factory also. I don't know, man. I mean, this feud, here's another one that could be a street fight that they're not. I want to see Ricky Starks win, but I'm a huge fan of Powerhouse Hobbs. And just when you feel like Powerhouse Hobbs gets a little momentum, he loses a match. Remember the match he had with Dante Martin? You felt like they're finally starting to give a little momentum to Powerhouse, and then he loses. And I just don't feel there's any momentum whatsoever with Powerhouse Hobbs. So if Ricky Starks wins, is the feud over? You know, I think it's way too soon for this blood feud to be over. So believe it or not, as much as I want Ricky Starks to win this, I could see clusterfuck galore happening with other people interfering. And I'm going to go Powerhouse Hobbs to win. And then I could see this feud continuing. I think if Starks wins, the feud is over. And I don't think anybody wants that feud to end this quickly. So I'm going to go with Hobbs to win with fuckery. With an assist from fuckery. This might be one of the easiest matches to predict. FTR and Wardlow absolutely will beat Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. I have nothing against Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, but, you know, they're being brought in, little name value. They didn't feel comfortable about Satnam Singh being in this match, even though he may still interfere. Motor City Machine Guns, there's just no momentum. After that, what are we going to get? You know, are they going to win a match on Elevation or Dark? So I'm not excited about this. It's going to be a great match. I think this is more about FTR going at it with the Motor City Machine Guns. That might be a little bit of a dream match for some people out there. But I think in all reality, FTR and Wardlow, absolutely all the way in this match. All right. In fact, you know what would be interesting? If Motor City Machine Guns lose and then Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal get pissed off at the Motor City Machine Guns and they turn on them. Don't be surprised. Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho. Because I'm going with with Christian to win, especially if Luchasaurus doesn't show, I can't go with Jericho to win this one. Jericho has won, as I said a few moments ago, in a lot of people's eyes, Jericho has won more matches than we expected him to lose. Jericho is obviously very much coddled in AEW, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. Jericho is awesome. He still can do it. But I think in this case, Bryan Danielson is going to take this match from Jericho. I just hope we don't get any stupid shit where Daniel Garcia shows up and he lays out Bryan Danielson anyway. Because if you think of the AEW mentality, that could very well happen. You know, he may end up staying with Jericho after all. So we'll see. You know, that might be a little segue into the Ring of Honor Pure Championship match next Wednesday. But I'm still going with Bryan Danielson to beat Chris Jericho. Yeah. That leaves us the casino ladder match. Oh, and the Trios tournament final. We don't have a graphic on that yet because we don't know who Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are facing yet. I think Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks will face the Dark Order and Hangman Page. They want to see Hangman Page on this pay-per-view. I think that's the only reason why the Dark Order go to the finals. So I'm going with the Dark Order and Hangman Page to go to the finals, but they will lose to Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks for the Trios titles. When you look at the history of AEW, especially if it sticks around for a very, very, very long time, they're going to look back at the lineage of the Trios titles, and they want the first champions to be Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. I'm going with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks to win it all. Now, as far as the casino ladder match goes, we have in this match Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Penta, Rey Fenix, Rush, Andrade, Dante Martin, and the Joker. And I think the Joker could very well be W. Morrissey, especially him being inserted in the match tonight like he was. Would not surprise me. Don't bet on that. I'm just giving ideas. But I don't think Claudio wins this because Claudio already has a championship. Wheeler Yuta, he's already got a championship. Rey Fenix and Penta, I don't know, what the deal is with AEW. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like they're spot monkeys more than anything else. That leaves you Andrade, the Joker, Rush, and Dante Martin. I'm not going to lie to you. I would love to see Dante Martin take this one. But Andrade, you got to think about Moxley as champion right now. Who would go at it with Moxley out of all of these guys? I know what some of you are going to say. Oh, I'd love to see Claudio and Moxley get into it a little bit. Two fellow Blackpool Combat Club members. As much as I would root for Dante Martin, I'm going with Andrade to win this one. I think Andrade may end up winning this one. We'll see. Look, if the Joker is a new signee and it's someone that we are totally not expecting, the Joker could very well win this, depending on who it is. But I'm going to go with Andrade. So that leaves us CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. As hyped up as I am now for this match, I think CM Punk does still fall short. After all of this, you could have CM Punk. I think it would be an upset. But I also think there's going to be some fuckery involved. Could we see the return of MJF? That is possible. I could only imagine the amount of debris that will be in that ring if MJF makes his return. I'm going to go with Jon Moxley to retain this championship because Jon Moxley is on fire right now. I know he got his share of boos tonight in Chicago, but Jon Moxley is on fire. And the guy, I know he's not the perfect style for everyone. I know Cornette doesn't like him at all, and some of you out there don't like him either. But I think CM Punk this will be a long match. I think it'll probably go 15 minutes, could go longer. I think CM Punk will sell injury once again and not give up and not give up and not give up. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if CM Punk just passes out from pain. Would not be surprised if CM Punk passes out from the pain. CM Punk never tapped. CM Punk never got pinned. CM Punk never submitted. So I would not be surprised if Moxley pulls out a submission move and CM Punk just passes out. That's what I'm going with. So those are your all-out predictions. If you feel that I am way off on any of them, post it in the comment section. I always love seeing, other people's thoughts and opinions and stuff. Let's talk for a few moments about NXT. Yesterday, before we get into the WWE stars that appeared, yesterday we had Grayson Waller over Apollo Crews. The NXT Women's Tag Champs, Katana Chance and Kayden Carter beat Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley in a non-title match. Pretty Deadly and Last Legend over Briggs, Jensen, and Fallon Henley in a 6-person mixed tag. Andre Chase, I think, with the upset, beating Charlie Dempsey. Zoe Stark over Kiana James. And Gallus over Diamond Mine. Now, we had some treats yesterday. And if you've been tuning into my shows the last 2.5 years, you know things like what we saw yesterday is what I've been wanting to see in NXT. Now, we have Worlds Collide on Sunday afternoon. And there's only 5 matches announced. And to add not only importance to the matches, unification matches especially, we had some cameos yesterday from some current NXT stars who did make a name for themselves in NXT. And coming out of yesterday's NXT episode, we ended up with 3 main roster stars who are challenging for NXT championships this Sunday on Peacock, Premium Live Event. I almost said pay-per-view. Here is a little slideshow of who showed up yesterday. We had Rhea Ripley make an appearance. She was talking about her success in NXT to Blair Davenport. Shayna Baszler telling Mandy Rose that if you lose, everything that you've said for the last year ain't worth shit. And when we get to predictions, you might be very interested in seeing who I predict to win this match. Very cool to see Shayna Baszler. And what was awesome yesterday about everybody, they were out of their element as far as their current character goes. This was just about respect in NXT. Everybody that showed up yesterday from the main roster on NXT, you felt like every single one of them give a shit about NXT. Put worth and value into the brand. And I enjoyed it tremendously. So Shayna Baszler with a little cameo. We also had Butch on the iPad talking to Tyler Bate, but that was not the only person talking to Tyler Bate yesterday. We also had Gunther, and I can't wait to sing the praise more for Gunther on Friday when we do Clash at the Castle predictions. That guy has put so much respect back in that championship, and I'm buying totally in with Gunther. Always have, continue to. And Gunther, Simber the God Jr., welcome to the family. Gunther, telling Tyler Bate, bringing up his reign as NXT UK champion. And Gunther, a little bit of a pep talk to Tyler Bate. Loved it. But we have more. We had Doudrop and Nikki A.S.H showing up, challenging for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships on Sunday. Now, I don't want to talk too much about this yet. We'll talk about it with predictions. But this is great. I mean, it does kind of conflict with the storyline on Raw because they have been arguing, they have been losing, they are not getting along, but they showed up in NXT, crowd loved it, and they are challenging Katana Chance and Kayden Carter on Sunday. So very cool to see Doudrop and Nikki A.S.H. We had Ricochet show up. Carmelo Hayes. Ain't no unification match needed for him. He did that several months ago, remember? So he ain't showing up on Sunday. This is the match that we have talked about on the watch parties quite a few times in the last couple of months. We've talked about it on Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite a few weeks ago. Ricochet needed to go to NXT, get into it with Carmelo Hayes, get into it with someone else, and we are getting this match Sunday. And I absolutely love it. Ronaldo, we're not doing any raffle. We're almost done. I have to get some sleep. I'm getting married in 2.5 days. So no raffles for a little while. So Ricochet shows up, challenges Carmelo Hayes, lays him out. And they are facing each other on Sunday for the North American Championship. I am so looking forward to this. Now, when we get to predictions, I'll elaborate a little bit further with some of these main roster stars. And then we cannot forget the first person that showed up, Finn Balor. Finn Balor is not there to be a dick. You know, Finn Balor was being there to remind Braun Breaker the importance of that championship. And let me tell you something. Every single WWE star that showed up yesterday, it's the same vibe I got when AJ Styles showed up to give a little bit of rub to Grayson Waller. When Dolph Ziggler showed up to give a little bit of a rub, a little boost to Braun Breaker. These are not demotions. Anybody that goes from the main roster, even if it's for a month or two, it's not demotions. Not everybody on the main roster gets the main event picture. Not everybody in the main roster gets a momentum push, gets a title shot, gets a title run. Some people will have losing streaks. That's in the history of wrestling. Some of the greatest have had some miserable losing streaks on TV. It's not that they suck. It's not that their time is gone. It's just that it's not their time at that time. And WWE focuses on other people, just as other promotions do. So these wrestlers showing up yesterday, it's to add respect and legitimacy to NXT. Every single one of them yesterday did their job and did it wonderfully. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Now, let's also be a little realistic. Are we going to see Finn Balor again, or Rhea Ripley, or Gunther, or Pete Dunne in NXT? No, not anytime soon, in my opinion. Could Nikki A.S.H and Doudrop stick around for a little while? It's possible. Could Ricochet stick around for a little while? It's possible. I think Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, Mustafa Ali, I think those three guys should be sent to NXT for a couple of months. It's not a demotion. It's just right now, it's not in the cards for them to get any types of winning streaks or push or title runs or anything else. So you go to NXT, you know, you get work in, you help build some of the stars of tomorrow, and who knows, somebody may end up winning a championship out of it as a result. I'm loving this. Absolutely loving this. And it was really, really cool to see all those cameos yesterday. Now, as far as match predictions go, like I said, we only have 5 matches to get into. This match might be the most baffling to me, and that is Nikki A.S.H and Doudrop taking on Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. If Doudrop and Nikki A.S.H lose this match, where do you go from here with them as a tag team? That's the only thing that I keep questioning about this. If you've paid close attention, Nikki and Doudrop should be split up by now. They even did this weird video online Monday with a cape and a fair, and go watch it if you haven't seen it. We talked about it Monday. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance has not had those belts all that long, but who is going to take the titles off of them? You know, we saw a Toxic Attraction hanging out yesterday during their match, but I don't think anybody wants Toxic Attraction to have a third reign this quick. But who's going to feud with Chance and Carter after this? I just don't see much of anybody. But at the same time, I'm saying to myself, you know, if Nikki A.S.H, Doudrop, if they lose, where do you go from here with them? So, unfortunately, I'm going with Carter and Chance to retain these championships. I think they will lose. I think Nikki A.S.H and Doudrop will lose. And I'm wondering if Doudrop lays out Nikki A.S.H. Maybe those two feud with each other in NXT. It's not out of the question. I would not have a problem with Nikki A.S.H and Doudrop winning. I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for them on Sunday because they have not had any type of a run. And I think people more for Doudrop than anything else because, remember, Nikki A.S.H was women's champion. We know how that ended up. So I think a lot of people are rooting for Doudrop out of all of this. But I'm going with Katana Chance and Kata Carter to retain. Next on the list, we have Gallus versus Pretty Deadly versus Briggs and Jensen versus Diamond Mine, the Creed brothers, to unify the NXT Tag Team Championships and the NXT UK Championships. Man, I don't know why, but I said this yesterday. I admit it. Pretty Deadly has grown on me pretty quickly. Pretty Deadly, they're just a different team. It's like the Hardys meet Breezango a little bit. I'm a fan of Pretty Deadly, and I would not be surprised if they were to go to the main roster. The problem is I don't know how long they're going to be staying in the United States. I would love to see Pretty Deadly come out of this with all the gold. But the Creed brothers, WWE is all in on the Creed brothers. I think the Creed brothers are going to come out of this with all the gold. But I will be honest with you, I am rooting for Pretty Deadly. And very cool to see some of you agreeing with me. I would have no problem Sunday if Pretty Deadly ends up with the gold. So, but I think the Creed brothers, they're just on fire, and you could see the potential with those guys. All right. Next, we have Ricochet challenging for the North American Championship against Carmelo Hayes. Here's another one. Would not mind Ricochet winning that. But Ricochet was just the Intercontinental Champion not too long ago. His career is just fine. Maybe not utilized at times the best we think. Carmelo Hayes, this is all about giving a nice rub to Carmelo Hayes. Having that win under his resume is a very big deal for Carmelo Hayes. I'm going with Carmelo Hayes to retain. Ricochet will make him look like $1 million. He will test Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes will be tested by Ricochet, and Carmelo needs to step up. And so far, he has delivered. I mean, literally. I mean, he's delivered. I don't think anybody denies that. So this might end up being a sleeper hit of the night. I'm going with Carmelo Hayes to retain against Ricochet. Maybe sign a respect afterwards. Maybe some fuckery with Trick Williams, too. I'm a fan of Tyler Bate. I know a lot of people like his look with the facial hair now. The only way Tyler Bate is winning this is if Bron Breakker is going to the main roster, like now. And I don't see that yet. Bron Breakker, there's no rush to bring him to the main roster. You're in the middle of the Unified Championship with Roman and Drew. We talked earlier what's next for Roman after this. No reason to bring up Bron Breakker at this moment. So because of that, I'm going with Bron Breakker to retain. He will be Unified Champion, and that will just strengthen his run a little bit more. Bron is going to win this one. Now, if you haven't realized it, I saved the women's match for last. Blair Davenport, who has no gold, versus Mandy Rose, who has the NXT Women's Championship, and Meiko Satomura, who has the NXT UK Women's Championship. I am a huge fan of Meiko Satomura. And I also, today, again, with the mailbag, I showed a lot of appreciation for Mandy Rose today. Mandy Rose, her right now reminds me so much of Trish Stratus when we started to notice Trish Stratus putting it all together. I don't want to repeat what I said earlier, but I will say this. Trish Stratus, early in her career, she was a fitness model. She was a wrestling fan. She did a lot of appearances on radio and TV before she ever got into wrestling or WWE. She came as the valet for Test and Albert, and she did a little bit here and there, but it never felt like it was going to amount to anything. And in real time, you had to live through it to understand it. you could, to really feel it, you could see the wrestling bug bit Trish Stratus. And she just worked and worked and worked and worked to try to put it all together. Mandy Rose, for me, over the last year, that bug bit Mandy Rose. I'm not saying that she was not, focused before going to NXT, but NXT, I think, changed her. And I have a lot of appreciation for Mandy Rose. I think she's going to the main roster. I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea. We talked about that earlier. I explained why that might be a bad idea. A lot of people are very quick to say, oh, I want to see this person on the main roster. I want to see this person on the main roster. Then you take a step back and you think to yourself, okay, now they're on the main roster. Now what? And then you're like, oh, shit. Oh, ooh. How is this person going to leapfrog this person and this person, this person, this person? If Mandy Rose, she wants to go back to the main roster. She hasn't denied it. She wants to go back to the main roster, and WWE is going to bring her back to the main roster sooner than later. If Meiko Satomura is going to stay in the States for an extended period of time, I'm going with Meiko Satomura to win this. The only way I go with Mandy Rose is if Satomura is not going to remain in the States for any extended period of time. We obviously need to have somebody from the UK to win something Sunday, don't you think? Somebody from the UK's got to win a match. I'm going to go with Satomura. I know I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to make it clear. I know I'm going to be wrong, but I got to go with somebody from the UK. I was joking yesterday on Patreon. This is not like the Alliance storyline from 2001, where it was WWF in jeopardy taking on WCW and ECW, and then the storyline in the end, WWF wins. I don't think it needs to be a complete landslide. So I'm going to go with Satomura just to go against the grain. I hope she gets it. She's legit, man. She's legit. If you like Asuka, you like Io Shirai, as far as WWE goes, you'll like Satomura. You would definitely like her, especially if you haven't paid attention to her work. She reminds me of the Japanese female William Regal. Is that safe to say? I don't think that's disrespectful. She's like the female Japanese William Regal to me. You don't fuck with her. You fuck with her, she'll fuck with you. So Io Sky is a totally different style, Sam. I'm not saying Io Sky, there's anything wrong with her. But Io Sky and Meiko Satomura's offense is totally different. So those are your predictions for NXT Worlds Collide. So we are at 88 minutes. Psycho going with Blair Davenport. I thought about it, but I don't see the NXT universe opening up and taking in Blair Davenport, and that quickly. So that's the only reason why I'm not going with her. So, but I'm going to jet out of here. We're almost at 90 minutes. Now, don't forget, tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern, the Q&A mailbag will be posted. You can check out the synopsis now. The discussions today, it only runs about an hour, but the discussions today were tremendous. Excellent topics, top to bottom. And then Friday, I will be here again live the night before I get married. We will do Clash at the Castle predictions because I got to be on record with Drew McIntyre winning the championship. I think it's going to happen. I think that Wembley moment, 70,000 fans, this is going to be that cementing Drew McIntyre as the next wrestler, eventually in the WWE Hall of Fame. I know for some people that's still a little bit far-fetched, but I think Drew McIntyre is a made man with this one. So we'll talk about it Friday night. But for now, if you enjoyed tonight's show, I would greatly appreciate it if you smash that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. If you know anyone else out there that would enjoy the channel, let them know about it. Every show is different. I try to keep every show a little bit different. And I want to just thank you for spending some time with me tonight. If I said anything tonight that you totally disagree with, post it in the comment section. I read everything. You know, sometimes a little slow responding because there's so many comments. But, you know, I definitely read everything, and everybody else sees what everybody's writing as well. If you're a channel member, the predictions contest for Clash at the Castle is already up. You can win a 50 spot there. If you're a Patreon member, the predictions contest is also up. And if you're a Patreon member and a channel member here, you got 2 shots at winning some cold hard cash. So Friday night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, right after SmackDown. Sorry, Rampage fans, but I got to get some decent sleep Saturday night because Sunday is crunch time. If I told you everything I have to do Sunday before I go to get married, you'd be like, you're crazy. Why are you doing shows? People are like, take the fucking week off and get your shit done. I don't know, maybe just hanging out with all of you is keeping my sanity. You know, I will admit, if it comes off I'm a little overly energetic tonight, I did something today that I haven't done in 3.5 years. And no, it's not intercourse, you motherfucker wise asses. I ate sugar and ate a lot of it. I got a Crave box. Somebody sent me a Crave box as a wedding gift. I opened it up and there was Laffy Taffy in it. There were Rice Krispie bars. There was a granola bar. There was some graham crackers. There was a couple of lollipops, and there was Juicy Juice. I think that's Hoovy. I ate them all. And I had the worst sugar high during Dynamite. And I feel like crap right now. That's why, if you've noticed, I probably drank more water tonight because in 3.5 years I have not had sugar. Yeah, if you were a fan of Beavis and Butthead, you remember whenever Beavis would eat too much sugar? That's how I felt earlier. And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go to sleep tonight. I know sugar is great, so. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. Much love as always. If you have any questions that I didn't get into tonight, post it in the comment section. Because trust me, tomorrow night, you know, I will be, you know, responding to a lot of people. So tomorrow night is the day before the storm. So Thursday night will be my last night to really sit back, relax, and take it easy a little bit. So much love, everyone. What am I doing Sunday? I hope to have a hangover. I hope to have a hot mess in my bedroom. I hope to be sleeping until 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I hope to be, you know, going out and having some breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatever it is. But unfortunately, I'm not going to spend 7 hours watching NXT and AEW on Sunday. My party doesn't end until 12:30 in the morning. So, but we'll talk about those events on next Monday's show because I will still be here for Labor Day. So good night, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.